This is CES MMA.
All right, here we go. Bout number 2 for Undisputed 2 here at the Twin River Event Center in Lincoln, Rhode Island. And this one is in the welterweight division at 170 pounds. Right now you're taking a look at a last-minute replacement, Scott, from Rocky Hill, Connecticut. SYLVESTER MURATAJ, 30 years old, took the fight on short notice. He has a real tough test ahead of him, but from what I hear, SYLVESTER has a real strong background in jiu-jitsu, a purple belt in BJJ, and a black belt in Taekwondo. So we certainly expect to see some of those skills at use in the cage tonight.
It'll be interesting. I mean, taking a fight on last-minute notice, and I actually believe that the weight went up. I think both fighters came in around 180.
That's correct.
And I think TOBEY, ODEN, who will be fighting, was on his way down to 170. He was within about 4 or 5 pounds, and Pat Sullivan put the alert out and told him to slow down. It'll be interesting. A pro debut for SYLVESTER. I don't know if he even has an amateur background. I'm not quite sure, Mike.
Not much of an amateur background, but he does have a clever nickname, the Albanian Van Dam. So maybe we'll see a little bit of a Jean-Claude Van Damme rendition.
Better be as tough as they come with that nickname.
If you have that name, you better live up to it. We'll see if SYLVESTER MURATAJ can do that. And once again, from Rocky Hill, Connecticut, fighting out of Ultimate MMA, making his pro debut. His opponent, TOBEY ODEN, will be making his professional debut as well. So you don't have to worry about nerves or anything being a deciding factor. Both fighters coming in with the same background and the same scenario at stake here.
There's a little difference. I'm very lucky. I know TOBEY pretty well. We've sparred together and trained together, and he's come down to Pro Elite. He's training out of Rivera MMA. And TOBEY, without it, he's 5-0, an undefeated amateur career. And good luck to both fighters tonight.
Well, TOBEY ODEN does train out of Rivera MMA, Scott. You are familiar with that school.
I've heard the name once or twice.
Yeah, you've heard of Jorge Rivera, right? Worked with him most of your career. What can you tell us about students who tend to come from that school, or in general, what can you tell us about TOBEY ODEN?
Three things that you're going to have coming out of Rivera's school, real simple. You're going to have good striking because you have Jorge Rivera, as you see him walking out now, as well as Matt Finney. His ground game, Jorge's a black belt under Tim Burrell, and we all know about Tim Burrell Jiu-Jitsu. So your ground game's going to be solid, and his conditioning is going to be off the charts. Jorge knows how to prepare a fighter. Jorge's been in the UFC a million times. I think he's got 13 fights in the UFC. So you're really going to be working at a higher level. I'm very interested to see how this fight starts. I'm wondering because TOBEY has a very good stand-up as well. I've seen him fight amateur a few times. Great power, one-punch knockout power. I have not seen SYLVESTER fight. I cannot bring myself to call him the Albanian Van Dam.
Well, you weren't kidding about that one-punch knockout power. I did get to check out a video on YouTube today where TOBEY ODEN ended the fight in one punch.
Absolutely straight right hand.
As advertised. And there you see Jorge Rivera in the red sweatsuit and the black hat giving some last-minute instructions. A veteran of more than a dozen UFC fights, so he's got some great tutelage in his corner. Should be a real exciting fight. We'll see what SYLVESTER MURATAJ can bring to the table. And now let's take a look at the Tequila Patron tail of the tape for this welterweight bout. TOBEY ODEN again making his pro debut. They both came in at that weight limit at 180. TOBEY ODEN fighting out of Rivera MMA from Milford, Mass. And SYLVESTER MURATAJ from Rocky Hill, Connecticut. He weighed in at 182 yesterday. Let's send it down to our cage announcer, Bill Carpenter.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Patron Tequila bout, scheduled for 3 5-minute rounds of mixed martial arts fighting in the cage, welterweights. Your referee for this contest is Keith Peterson. Introducing first, to my right, fighting out of the blue corner. He weighed in at 182 pounds, representing Ultimate MMA, making his professional debut from Rocky Hill, Connecticut. Please welcome SYLVESTER MURATAJ. His opponent across the cage to my left, fighting out of the red corner. His weight for this bout, 180 pounds even, representing Rivera MMA, also making his professional debut tonight, fighting out of Milford, Massachusetts, introducing TOBEY ODEN. 3 5-minute rounds in the welterweight division.
All right, TOBEY ODEN, SYLVESTER MURATAJ, as I have learned the pronunciation from Bill Carpenter.
I will try it, and I will stumble over it.
You could just call him Sylvester, and nobody will notice the difference. Round number 1 underway in the welterweight division.
Oh, Sylvester says no to tapping hands.
Interesting.
Very interesting. I don't know if you want to play that game.
Well, would Jean-Claude Van Damme tap hands is the question.
He would.
That's where he gets the nickname from.
Straight right hand by Tobey off a spinning back kick from Sylvester. Looks like Sylvester's just throwing some Taekwondo type kicks up. Tobey very patient, relaxed.
Well, he does have that background in Taekwondo, as we mentioned in the pre-fight introduction, that he is a black belt. And he's putting that to early use. Tobey
Very,
Oden.
very patient by Oden.
Yeah, just waiting for his moment.
Found the distance, took his back, huge slam.
Big takedown.
Hammer fist, hammer fist. This is going to stop in about 3 more punches.
This won't last long if Murataj can't get some momentum. He does manage to kick Oden off, but Oden now coming back with the
took
rights.
His back. There's your rear naked choke, sunk pretty deep.
We may get a submission here, Scott.
Tobey's got it pretty deep. He needs to extend his hips a little bit. You can see how it's there.
There it is. 102 into round number 1. Tobey Oden successful in his professional debut. He started with the striking and then went to the submission with the rear naked choke. So great flexibility by Murataj. You see he is busted wide open from those hammer fists, Scott. An impressive debut for Tobey Oden.
Yeah, very impressive. And you can see how relaxed Tobey was. That's the big sign. You know, a lot of credit to Sylvester for taking the fight on late notice, on a day's notice. But more than anything else, you saw how calm and relaxed Tobey was.
Oh, you mentioned Tobey Oden had 5 amateur fights. You mentioned that he would be patient, and it was as good as advertised. Here's that replay. Look at those hammer fists just raining down.
And Tobey got a lot of air underneath Sylvester for that.
That 4th or 5th one really landed. Now you see Sylvester kick off briefly. And
just locks in the rear naked, squeezing.
Out.
Patient, made sure it was on nice and tight.
No rush whatsoever. He seemed, like you said, very patient. He just waited for an opening, and Murataj just busted wide open. So a great win for Tobey Oden in his pro debut. Just showed a little bit of everything, Sky. He showed his striking, got a big takedown, and then won by submission. So really, he kind of hit the trifecta.
Again, like we talked about, Mike, coming out of Rivera MMA, good strikes, good ground game, good condition.
We saw it all on display tonight, so a victory for Tobey Oden in his debut. Let's send it down to our cage side announcer, Bill Carpenter, for the particulars.
Ladies and gentlemen, the bout ends at 1 minute, 3 seconds of the first round. Your winner by a rear naked choke submission in the red corner, Tobey Oden.